Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the channel, and I'm here to talk about Smackdown from tonight. Talk about, did it be Smackdown tonight from December, what's tonight? 26th. So, tonight's episode of Smackdown 26th, the final Smackdown of 2025. But since it was pre-taped, to give the wrestlers this week off, we knew exactly what was going to happen, so I'll go over the show and then give my thoughts on it. So, the advertised card was Joe Hendry versus The Miz. Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. title. What a banger that was. Definitely by far the best thing on the show tonight. What a banger match that was. Charlotte Flair versus Lash Legend. Julie and Kiana James versus Chelsea Green, Alba Fire. Sorry, I'm yawning at how boring the show was. Besides the Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes match. I'm sorry. First, we open up with The Miz. Oh my god, I'm sorry, The Miz. I keep saying The Miz versus Joe Hendry. So, we open with the usual recap of last week's show, what we saw with Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis. Speaking backstage, Austin Rose, he was stripped title, he profaned Drew McIntyre. The Miz was shown talking to Aldis about Joe Hendry before he went to the ring to see him preparing for his concert with a couple of WWE superstars dressed in Christmas outfits. Akira Tozawa was the elf on the turnbuckle. Hendry, he sang a carol about the Miz having tiny balls. As Otis danced around. I mean, that's fun. That's funny seeing Otis dance around. The A-lister interrupted his song to protest. He challenged Hendry to a match. Aldis came out and turned into a Miracle on 34th Street Fight. The stipulation was always designed to get a laugh out of the crowd and provide some entertainment, so you have to go into it knowing what to expect. If you expected a 5-star match, you'd probably be disappointed. I don't think anybody was expecting that here. If you expect some joke spots and Otis in a Santa suit, you'll enjoy it. I mean, it was solid, I guess. I mean, I ain't gonna critique it too much. I thought it was whatever. Both men of the assignment made each other look good, but the A-lister came up short against the newcomer in the end. This was one of those segments that was designed to appeal, to the younger fans, so it was a whatever segment. And Joe Hendry defeated The Miz. It was whatever. It was whatever to open the show, I guess. Who was that bunny in the ring? Was that Adam Rose's bunny? Did he lose his bunny? To WWE, he's back. For a guy who isn't a giant, Joe Hendry has a decent, choke slam he does for a guy that ain't a giant. It was whatever to open the show, I guess. I'm not gonna shit on it really. It was just whatever. Next, Lash Legend versus Charlotte Flair. So the women's tag team feud with Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Lash Legend, and Nia Jax continued this week when the Queen and the Bougie Bully went one-on-one. The Bougie Bully. So, Lash Legend, one of the few people that has size and power over, Charlotte Flair, so, is what it mean. It was a solid match, and probably the best for Lash Legend on the main roster to date. Flair allowed her to control most of the action. It helped showcase her to the Blue brand. Obviously, Charlotte got the win. She wasn't going to lose. Yeah, it was a solid match. I mean, it's nothing spectacular. It's just solid. And allowed Lash Legend to get a lot of offense in, which is kind of surprising, but they're trying to build her up, so. I mean, they had her squash Alexa Bliss and have a solid match with Charlotte, and allowed her to have control most of the match. Tells you they're high on her. So, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega had a promo video directed at Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. I like all four of these people. Can they just get this over with? They've been feuding for months, and it's led to nothing. They had a mixed tag match. That should have been the end of it. Lord. But yeah, that was that. Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes. This is by far the best thing in the show. Finally, I was kind of sitting back going, yawn. But then this match come on and woke me up. Or at least got me to pay attention more. Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes took center for the championship. Dragunov defended the belt against Hayes in a rematch when they're bound December 5th. Both men were upset that Tommaso Ciampa affected the outcomes, so they wanted a fair fight this week. Just like their previous encounter, both men were clearly can prove they're among the best WWE has on the roster on the blue brand. Even though they are friendly backstage, pretty fun match. Obviously, Dragunov had control for a bit more in the first half. Hayes began making headway after the commercial break. He countered the H-ball with a jumping kick and a springboard DDT. The crowd chanting, "This is awesome, this is awesome," as they went to the second break. We've talked about this in all of these challenges, but Dragunov has really seen himself as one of the most reliable performers, and Hayes is right there with him, so this was no surprise. This was an outstanding match. They had just as much physicality as their last match they had, but this time they benefited from having a clean finish. The champion put up a fight, but Mello didn't miss. This time he nailed his finisher to get the pin, and he wins the United States Championship. The result of this battle was spoiled due to the show being taped last week, but that match was no less exciting as a result of that. It was a phenomenal match, and finally Carmelo Hayes, he wins the championship. Good to see him finally win something on SmackDown. This is by far the best thing of the show. So Sokola and MFTs had a quick video promo. Trick Williams and Rhodes had a brief confrontation in Nick Aldis' office. This was an amazing match, dude. By far the best thing of the night. Next, the Green Regime versus Julian Kiana James. So, it's an interesting women's tag match with Julian Kiana taking on Green and Fire. I guess what made it interesting is that both teams are heels, so there was no babyface team for the crowd to cheer for by default. So, I don't know why heels versus heels. Oh, my Lord. Road Dogg, Jesse James. Lord. Even though they operate as villains, Green's popularity led to her and Fire getting more cheers. Well, mostly because of probably Chelsea Green. But, we knew this match wouldn't last too long since you saw a segment with Rhodes and McIntyre left in the show, so it was no surprise to see them jump right into the action instead of easing into it. James looked good against Alba Fire and Jessica Green in the opening minutes. She's always been a great athlete whose booking did not line up with her skills. In fact, she may have outshined Julie in this match a bit, but that was because she spent more time in the ring. James is a good wrestler. They just don't book her. They just don't. The booking just doesn't line up with her skills. When you consider they didn't have a ton of time, this match ended up being a pretty decent match, but Julian Kiana James defeated Alba Fire and Chelsea Green. Aldis booked a huge women's tag title bout for the first episode in 2026 with multiple teams. And also, it's just kind of sad to think about how much momentum Julia's lost since coming to the main roster. Even her run as U.S. champion was underwhelming, which is not her fault. She just hasn't had the kind of booking she needs, and there's just not much in the mid-card, really. So much, and it doesn't help that you're not on the show mostly. I mean, she's been on the show more lately, but it's the same thing when they win these championships with Triple H. They stop putting them on the show as a champion, they lose their momentum. Once they lose that championship, then they're back on the show. Same thing with Triple H. Doesn't know how to book champions. And then Johnny Gargano attacked Carmelo Hayes backstage while he was being interviewed about his first title win, so it looks like we know who his first rivalry will be in 2026, which that should be a banger match as well. So we got Cody and Drew McIntyre. So this week's show here was a segment involving McIntyre and Rhodes. McIntyre apologized for the ref he attacked and paid a fine. He would get to choose the time and stipulation for his next title shot against the American Nightmare. McIntyre issued a half-hearted apology to the ref he kicked, but then he insulted him by saying he wasn't good enough to be a wrestler, that's why he became a referee. Rhodes was goaded into coming to the ring, and McIntyre did him take a shot and cost himself the title. The show ended with McIntyre hitting a Claymore before picking the WWE title and posing with it. This segment went as expected, but not in a bad way. McIntyre did a great job playing the jerk who was trying to get under his opponent's skin. So, I guess tonight, Friday SmackDown closed out 2025 with a few forgettable matches and one show-stealing performance everyone should see. Once again, Dragunov stole the show. This time he had Hayes as a dance partner. We feel like a broken record saying this every week with SmackDown, but the Mad Dragon's bouts have become the best thing every week. Hayes winning the title was a nice feel-good moment to close out the year, but what this means for the champion remains to be seen. The final segment did a good job with Rhodes and McIntyre's upcoming showdown for the title, and the fact we will get it on TV instead of a PLE was the most surprising revelation. Next week, SmackDown moves back to 3 hours, so let's hope WWE has a good show in store, maybe some surprises. I don't know. I'm gonna give it like a 4 out of 10. I love the match between Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes in the ending segment. Or I'll give it a 4 out of 10. That might be being nice, but I think they're gonna do a 3 stages of hell. Last time DBA had a 3 stages of hell match was Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole at or no, I'm an idiot. The NXT TakeOver Toronto match was 2 out of 3 falls. That one of the 3 stages of hell. I think the last time they done that was John Cena and Ryback in 2013. So they'll try their hand at that next installment. But yeah, that's all to say for Smackdown, honestly. So leave a like, subscribe for more. Till next time out. Peace, and leave your thoughts and comments below on Smackdown.